Yeah. So I think, you brought this up. So I'm a huge advocate or believer, like how you start your day is how your day will go or your week will go. Right. And it's interesting. Again, you hear these social media influencers or everybody says like, this is the way, it's this way or the highway. Right. So what works with me, like I'm really intentional. I do a lot of things in the morning, but that's something that I need that fills my cup that might not necessarily fill somebody else's cup.
Sure.
Right. We're all different. And I think it's important to understand that, but I believe, again, I I believe there's, again, when we accomplish things, the goals that we set out for ourselves, that's where confidence is built. I also believe, especially with men, when we do things that are quote unquote hard or uncomfortable, there's another layer of confidence that kicks in,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm a huge advocate. I mean, it's really popular today, but it's changed my life, is cold water therapy. So cold plunging. So almost every morning, I jump in, I get in the sauna, and then I start my day with a cold plunge.
So you get in the sauna for how long?
20 minutes, 25 minutes, it
So you
depends.
come out of the sauna at 100 degrees
Yeah.
and you jump in cold water, but 40-degree water,
Yeah, I think my temperature, I think, set at 44.
44. And then how long are you in the water?
It depends. I try to go, sometimes it's a minute, sometimes it's 3 or 4, sometimes it's 5. It depends. But I'd say on average between 1 and 2 minutes. I mean, but I don't want to get in. Let's be clear. I've done this
Never gets
hundreds
easier?
of times, and every morning I have to talk myself into it. So it's not like I'm so used to it that it's like, oh, this is like, brushing my teeth. No one that does it a lot feels that way, but we do it, and I do it because of the euphoria that comes after. I do it because of the dopamine hit that comes from it. We talk about addiction, which is, when I was going through especially the pain of losing my business and going through that, I mean, I was numbing out on whatever I could possibly find. The pain of all of it was so defeating, debilitating, and I didn't know what to do with it. And of course, in such that horrible mindset that I was at, not horrible is not the right word, in a challenging mindset, limiting belief mindset, just spinning and just searching for things outside of me to make it go away. The reality was it wasn't going away. And I created a lot more pain and suffering that didn't need to be there. So one of my huge whys for where I am today and doing stuff is to help men, especially, lean into what's hard. What we're avoiding, all we're doing is kicking the can down the road, period. So it's have the hard conversations, lean into this, like rip the Band-Aid off. Because if we just slowly pull it away, we're just creating more and more pain in our life, right? So cold water, and again, we're searching outside of us. And like in the
solution.
science, but looking for the pain to go away. It's the dopamine hit, the dopamine, right? So people want to check out on social media. They want to watch Netflix. I mean, there's an elevated, as the dopamine hits the brain and the brain gets used to that. And so that's why it's hard to pull away from that. Cold water therapy has the same, my belief is, and I don't think I'm misquoting this, but it has the same effect as if someone was doing a line of Coke. Like, Coke has a huge dopamine hit, or sugar. And it's like, but there's not a crash to it. So to me, like one of the things when I quote unquote detoxed off stuff, I will get in the cold water sometimes multiple times a day.
Wow.
And I do it for the emotional side of it. There was one time a couple years ago, I was spinning. I was at my office, not knowing what to do. My heart rate's like at 150 beats a minute from stress.
Wow.
I went back to my house. I got in the cold water for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, my heartbeat went from 150 to 60 beats a minute in 39-degree water. And so, again, uncomfortable. But I knew in that was the solution that would help me, a natural way of doing it versus running to get fast food or going to get something else to numb out on the pain. I went to something natural to regulate that, and it literally brought me back down.
Well, nothing's a pattern interrupt like 43 degrees.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can interrupt your flow. I cold plunge every morning for 4.5 minutes. I've got a song that's 4.5 minutes long, and it's hard for me to say that I crave it, but I sure know the difference when I don't do it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I would argue that you long for the feeling of when you get out.
Yes.
You don't crave when you're in the water. There's not like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Every morning I have to be like, okay, buddy, here we go.
Oh,
and there's
yeah.
this argument happening in my head.
I was just going to ask that. I'm really curious. How does that conversation go? When you're trying to convince yourself to get in there, how does that go?
Oh, it's the same conversation that if you see a hot girl across the room, you want to ask her out, and it's like whatever story you're telling, like, should I go say yes? Should I do this? Should I do this? And like whatever your question, or it's like there's a business deal, and you're like, do I ask this? Do I lean in? Do I say yeah? It's the same thing. It's like the cold water. I'm like, I don't want to get in. Like, you don't want to get in. It's uncomfortable, and I'm trying to talk myself out of it. It's like, I don't need to do it this morning. I'm okay. I did it the last 3 days. I'm still all right. And it's this story. I mean, there's literally times where I've walked into my house. I'm like, I'm not doing it. Or if it's snowing and raining, I'm like, fuck it, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, then I start beating myself up and I'm like, and then I stop and I'm like, you're going to have less confidence and your day won't start off as well because you didn't do it. And trust me, it's not because of the cold water. It's because I committed to myself that I was going to do it.
There it is.
I was just going to say that. Okay, so if we're going to do something hard, and the ice baths are a terrible example for me because to me that's not hard at all. But if we're going to do that, it ultimately comes down to a choice. I said I'm going to do this, so I'm going to do it. There's no argument to be had there. I said I'm going to do this, so therefore this is what it is. That's a big life hack that I have. So we're talking about this stuff, but I found over and over again. You're ultimately going to reach a decision.
You're a unique soul in this area. I want you to know.
Is it relates to the cold water? Or just
anything.
He's a professional baseball player. He's a high level athlete. He comes from a long line of suffering. Like this is
We used to call them ice baths, and we did them every other day, regardless of anything. It was not this. The entire team did it.
It wasn't a mindset.
It wasn't a mindset thing.
It was
get
just
it.
how
The
it
coach
went.
said, "Get in the tub," and that's what it was.
Well, it's not that way when you have this. I have a horse trough in my backyard, and up until about a week ago, I was cutting out the ice with an axe in the morning. So my neighbors see me out there in my robe and flip flops in the snow, hacking away. And they're like, "Oh, there goes the Adamses again." And I'd get in there, and I think it's decreased inflammation in my body. It creates an amazing. After about 40 seconds, I've noticed after 40 seconds it's miserable. After that though.
no. Once you're in it, you could go 20 minutes.
You could,
Like once you're in it, you're in it.
That's also what we used to do.
That 40
You
seconds.
would go until you were numb. So like the 4 or 5 minutes, that was warming up.
And it just once I've done that, I get out of that. I get out of that water. I go into my house and I do Wim Hof breathing until I bring my core temperature back up. I can't imagine when you say you're getting out of your sauna at 100 degrees and then getting into the water. That has to be a bigger temperature swing than I'm doing. However, my water is outside; it's frozen, so I might.
Yeah, you're at 39, 40, whatever, right?
Whatever
Once
it
you
is.
break it up, yeah.
Yeah, but dang,
The reason I've set mine
a
to
fan.
45 is I've studied more. Like the physical and emotional effects, anything under 50 degrees has the same effect.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, so part of me is like, yeah, I want to do this, but like, I don't need to torture myself.
Don't
The
need to
difference
suffer
between
that
39
much.
and 44, it's like, it's still cold. Like, so I don't need to, that's my own ego saying like, it needs to be at 39 because that's the coldest mine can go. But I think Topher, what you said is it's important. Like for you, it's like ice baths are no big deal. Right. And there's like, for me, like working out today, right? Like going to the gym, no big deal. I've embodied that. It is who I am. It is part of my day. I don't want to go half the time if I really sit and think about it, but I don't even give myself a choice because I've embodied that's who I am. 5 years ago, I was paying a coach thousands of dollars a month, literally trying to hype me up to be able to have my gym bag ready in the morning to go at 7 a.m., which is comical today. But at the time, it was so emotionally difficult for me to get up and go to the gym. I could work 16 hours a day, but to go to the gym, I wasn't going there, right? Because of all the emotional, unhealthy attachments I had to my worth as it relates to my body, and it felt impossible. But today, it's just part of who I am. It's not hard. There's nothing hard about it. But I've had to embody that, and it takes time. So, one of my favorite sayings is the hard button's the easy button. So we're working out today it's not hard. It's easy. Like the art of going to it, right? And
Choose your hard.
So again, ice baths for you, same thing. It's like,
well, it's with anything. The point I was trying to make with that is it's a decision. Somewhere,
it's a choice.
You made a decision that you are going to go to the gym, and that's it. That is what it is. Now, it might have taken you forever to get there. And you got to do that. You had to hire the coach. You had to get the gym bag ready and everything. But at the end of the day, nothing changed until you made the decision of, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get in this cold plunge. I'm going to do it for 45 days straight. Boom. I'm going to do it. Making a decision.
Yeah.
Welcome to American Masterminds, where we do some kind of crazy stuff, and some of those things might include
learning about how to handle your relationships, making money, and being a better person in every realm of your life.
You're going to have a good time listening to it. We're not professionals. We're doing the best we can with what we've got. Show up, tune up, click it, thing in the thing in the thing. Mess that up.
Subscribe.